Hello friends, welcome to Notebook Videos. In the previous videos, we discussed about poverty and how it's eminent in rural areas as compared to urban or semi-urban areas. We came to know that people living in rural areas don't have access to the basic needs of living, that is, food, shelter, living, and clothing. In this video, we'll discuss about the concept of rural development. Why is it important? And how credit and marketing are instrumental in rural development. We'll also learn how agricultural market system is a vital tool for the efficient functioning of our economy. Friends, do you know that agriculture is still the largest source of livelihood in the rural sector? The future of India lies in its villages. Are words of the father of our nation, Mahatma Gandhi. This statement speaks volumes about the role of villages and rural areas in the growth of India. Mahatma Gandhi emphasized upon the need of growth and betterment of villages in India and believed that the perishing of villages would lead to India perish as a nation too. He focused upon the balance between using urban resources and utilizing the rural means for the overall development of our nation. But why so? Why does rural development hold such significance in the overall development of the country? We'll find the answers now. Studies carried out by economists in 2012 showed that 2/3 of India's population is dependent upon agriculture as their source of livelihood, even when it's unable to provide enough productivity to provide them even with the basic necessities of life. On the other hand, 1/3 of rural India is still engulfed in poverty. Friends, can you imagine the amount of manpower being wasted and how much of the nation's growth can be facilitated just by tapping properly into rural development? We'll explore the possibilities further. To start with, we need to first understand that rural development is a wide term that involves various things and factors that needs to be addressed for the development of areas. Like any other sector, there are some hurdles and challenging areas that need fresh initiatives and creative measures to escalate rural development to its full potential. The challenges are fourfold: land, labor, production process, and infrastructural development. Human resource development, overcoming illiteracy, focusing more upon female literacy, education, and developing overall skill sets, providing better health resources, whether it be sanitation or public health, land reforms that bring in better colonization and facilitate better utilization of available land in rural areas, development of productive resources, land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship in each locality, infrastructure development, electricity, irrigation, credit, marketing, transport facilities that includes construction of roads, facilities for agriculture, research and extension, etc. Measures to overcome poverty and bringing in improvements in the standards of living of the weaker section of the population by providing employment opportunities. In simpler terms, productivity combined with employment is instrumental for proper rural development in India. Friends, as we discussed that 2/3 of the population is still dependent upon agriculture, whereas agricultural sector's contribution in GDP is gradually declining. So, income per capita is very low in the agricultural sector. Friends, issues such as inadequate infrastructure, lack of alternate employment opportunities in the industry or service sector, increase in casual workforce are major challenges that hinder rural development. Now, when you are aware of rural development and the challenges that come with it, let's dive into the good things that can be done to facilitate rural development. In relation, we shall talk about the role of credit and marketing in rural areas and how it's important for development. One of the forces that drives the growth of rural economy is capital infusion from time to time to ensure high productivity across agriculture and non-agriculture sectors. Let me put this in simple terms. There's a long time gap between crop sowing and realization of income after production, and so farmers borrow from various sources to meet their investment needs, like investment on seeds and fertilizers, family expenditure like marriage, death, and others. Friends, do you know how moneylenders have exploited innocent farmers and landless laborers in the past? Money lent has usually been on high interest rates, and poor people have failed to escape the debt trap for such reasons. This practice was eminent at times of independence, and small farmers succumbed to it. They paid heavy prices for obvious reasons. However, things changed when India adopted social banking and multi-agency approach in 1969, keeping the needs of rural credit in mind. National Bank for Agriculture and Rural Development, NABARD, was set up in 1982 as a prime authority to coordinate the activities of all institutions involved in the rural financing system. Green Revolution played an important role in setting the pace and norms of lending with portfolio diversification of rural credit, with more emphasis on production-oriented lending. Friends, we should understand the rural banking structure and their mission, which is to dispense credit at cheaper rates to the rural mass. Rural banking includes commercial banks, regional rural banks, RRB, cooperatives, land development banks. However, this formal credit system has a few major loopholes and setbacks that had to be addressed, for which self-help groups, SHGs, come into play. The major drawback of formal credit delivery system was seeking of collaterals and security for money lending. Poor households who were unable to fulfill the criteria of providing collaterals were driven out of it. Collaterals from poor people was difficult to achieve indeed. Self-help groups, on the other hand, allowed lending in small proportions to a group of men or women who were collectively responsible. Money lent was in small numbers and with reasonable interest rates. These credit provisions were also referred to as micro-credit programs. Friends, it is interesting to note that rural banking had a positive impact on rural farm and non-farm output as well as income and employment, especially after the Green Revolution. Farmers got variety of loans and production flourished. However, the same cannot be said about the banking system. Yes, banks were up for tough times as loan default rates increase. Farmers failed to pay back loans. As usual, rural banking suffered setbacks. It was suggested that banks change their approach towards beneficiaries by building relationships that go beyond banking. Friends, now before we get into the next topic, which is marketing, have you ever thought of the process by which different edible things like fruit and vegetables come from different parts of the country? Well, the answer is market channels. Let's talk about agriculture marketing to understand things better. It can be defined as a process that involves assembling, storage, processing, transportation, packaging, grading, and distribution of different commodities across the country. Friends, did you know how farmers were fooled by traders prior to independence? They were fooled with faulty weighing, manipulation of accounts, distress selling because of lack of information on market pricing. Moreover, lack of storage facilities resulted in wastage. Can you imagine that 10% of goods produced in farms were wasted due to lack of storage? So, what measures were taken to improve the marketing aspects? They were regulation of markets to create transparent marketing conditions, providing infrastructural facilities like roads, railways, warehouse, godowns, cooperative marketing, that is, fair price for farmers' products, and introduction of policy instruments like assurance of minimum support prices, maintenance of buffer stocks of wheat and rice by Food Corporation of India, distribution of food grains and sugar through public distribution systems. Friends, have you seen the local Sabzi Mandi in your locality with great footfall and a plethora of customers? It has been observed that these mandis or markets help the farmers to generate more income as they can sell their products directly to the consumers. Nowadays, we have more supermarkets popping up that get into more contracts with farmers for supply of fresh food products at pre-decided prices. These in turn helps farmers to generate more revenues. What do you think about supermarkets? Have they proved to be useful to farmers? Are farmers truly benefiting from these contracts? I will be happy if you can think of the right answer and share it with your teacher. That's all in this session. With this, we hope to conclude our session today. We'll be happy to see you in our next videos. I hope you have enjoyed this lesson. And goodbye.